Good evening, everyone, and welcome back to Dream Career Talk Show. Today, we are here on episode number 65 of Dream Career Talk Show. And I know people who are following Dream Career Talk Show might have seen certain break for some time. But yes, we are back here. And as you all are aware, Dream Career Talk Show is a part of my mission to transform 10 million lives by helping people to unlock their full potential and grow faster in their careers. So, with that mission in mind, on this particular show, we bring industry experts from various domains who can share their knowledge, their challenges, their experiences, their failures, and can help their other corporate professionals to get clarity, direction, hope, inspiration, and of course, the right steps to build their dream careers. Now, in dream careers, when we talk about mid career, especially, there are professionals who go through a time when they look ways ahead, and many times they get stuck without a proper path or plan. Especially when it comes to a field, the oldest and one of the topmost fields in engineering, mechanical engineering, people get stuck in the technical path. And our today's guest is a mechanical engineer, Vimal Viswanathan, who comes from mechanical engineering background, and during his mid careers he explored the path of project management, and project management became his passion. He started loving project management and not only helping people in the corporate world in terms of solving the project management challenges, solving big projects, handling projects, but also started helping and guiding people in the project management field, so that they can also achieve their career growth and accelerate their career growth in the project management field. So, Vimal, very happy to have you here on episode number 65 of Dream Career Talk Show. Welcome.
Namaste, Fatha sir. Yeah, thank you for inviting me, and good evening all. And it's been a pleasure for me when I've received the invite from you to become a part of the Dream Career Talk Show and also share my knowledge as well as my experiences in a live forum. So this is my first time attending in a live forum, and thanks to you. And yeah, looking forward. I
Great.
hope you doesn't scrutiny me with tough questions in the talk show.
So, so this is not about we getting into the tough questions here, but yes, of course, we'll get into certain practical aspects of it because I know you come with a great experience from project management field, and the way you're passionate about it. I love the things that you are doing already, helping guiding people through social media, where you are sharing your knowledge. Being there quite often, sharing your articles through your videos, sharing your knowledge and all, so that's really very inspiring. And today I'm sure, like, when you are live and talking a little deep into the project management aspects, it's going to help a lot of people, and especially your mission being helping those mechanical engineers. I think there would be good guidance for those people, right, who are into the mechanical engineering field.
Yes, yes, yes.
Cool. So let's get started with first of all your experience in this field, and how did you find your passion in mechanical from mechanical engineering into project management? When did all this start? And you can talk about your journey.
Yeah, so I've done my mechanical engineering, and after that, my real passion was to get into some kind of a research and development organization. And that's when, after passing out of the graduation, started looking for job. As any fresher wouldn't be successful in getting into big multinational companies, my job search was also like 1 year span, and in between I was doing small works like marketing, become a marketing engineer, and then was pursuing or looking for opportunities to get into big MNCs. And that's when I came across this campus recruitment, off-campus recruitments for L&D, and that's where I started my real journey in 2010 as a design engineer, and that was like a dream come true. And in fact, getting into that job, I still remember it was the same day when I was taking my offer letter. My father was retiring from his job, so that is very very special day for me. It's August 14th, 2010, and And at that time I was happy because you start as a mechanical engineer, you dream of being into L&T. L&T is one of a dream company for all the mechanical engineers who start their
Mechanical
career with
engineer.
mechanical.
Mhm.
So that came true, and I always believe that you always dream big and always be on that dream. Don't stay away from the focus on that dream, because my dream when I entered into engineering college itself was to be part of L&T, and somehow that happened. As you go, you have the dream, the nature will nurture you or take you towards that dream. So that happened with me. So I started my career with design engineering. Then slowly I progressed into real research and organization department in various firms. And from there, I started studying or learning about project management, because being an R&D design engineer, you are exposed to all the engineering activities of building a product, uh, completing the concept, verifying your design, testing, and then launching it. Okay, so the support that you give as a design engineer is very minimal to your function. And that's when the project managers, when they run the show of doing a new product development project completely, where you are part as a design engineer or as a senior design engineer, that's when these things strike. Like some of the Danish project managers with whom I work, they seem to showcase so much of leadership qualities, and they make things happen. So it was like, okay, then they the type of style they run the project itself fascinated me to explore more in detail about project management. Then my path started in exploring project management. So as anybody, you start googling things what you can do, started attending working professional courses. Then I stumbled upon reaching in identifying that there is a global certification that states that you can be a professional in project management. So that's when I reached a point where, okay, you have certification globally that is accredited, where you can stand out in your resume as well as in the corporate world, that you are a professional in project management. Then along with my senior design engineer role or a engineer role, I started learning more about project management, attending classes, attending online sessions and all. And then I started nurturing myself into those processes and all those things. So one good thing happened is there were opportunities for me to shadow the project managers also when I was working in the design firm. So that's where I started learning more. Then my focus was to crack this global certification in project management. So unlike now, at that point of time in 2015-16, we had one shot exam where you have to attend fully 4 hours and be attentive on 200 questions, which will be like, the answers will be, the four kind of objective answers will be almost similar to the scenario what you're given, and you have to manage everything in that 4 hours. And that was a unusual experience. And the moment you get the results then and there, once you are done with your examination, and that's where that last question you answer and submit it, your heart will beat like 10x times to get that results, and finally you see that result, you're passed. Oh my god, that's like a biggest achievement which i've I've experienced, because coming from a background of engineering and technical, then then it was not easy. Even having a project management certification does not take you directly to a project manager role, because that itself need a certain kind of responsibilities and experiences which companies look for. So after 8 years or close to 9 years, that's when I got a break to start working as a program manager in a firm. Okay, and the requirement was actually having a knowledge of product development or an engineering technical stuff would help project management in driving things easily. So that's how I got this opportunity as a program manager, and then from there I moved to become a senior project manager right now. So that's in brief how my journey started from becoming a technical design engineer to a project manager.
Good, nice, nice. And I can resonate with you when you were talking about your heart pumping 10x, right? Because that PMP exam was tough, and cracking that at those times was really challenging, right?
Yes,
So
yes.
that is good. So that was your journey. And then you said you spent a lot of time in terms of initially doing parallelly project management in terms of learning and implementing some bits and pieces. So when we are talking about any transition to a job, right, especially when you are at a place where you are good at a certain thing, right, and transitioning into something new, like how much typical time did you take, and do you think it takes for a person, right, or need to invest in certain thing before we transition into a new role?
It's actually the courage and the desire what you have. Actually, the
Mhm.
transitioning part is not easy. You have to step one, you have to go one step beyond of what you're doing in your day-to-day life. So in day-to-day your project, in day-to-day your activities at office, you have to go one step beyond. That means you have to approach and look for opportunities where you can devote something extra on
Yeah.
being in that current role itself, what you can play extra with that role. So that's where I started taking some of the responsibilities from my project manager and started shadowing him, so that they can, so that we learn what are the tricks or the techniques, basically the techniques. Because when you assist or shadow your project manager, the biggest advantage is like you you have a mentor beside you to guide you. It's like a mentor who is guiding on your deliverables, making sure that you are delivering a good thing, right? So apart from your design itself, when you're doing that, you get you get a recognition also, not in terms of monetary, but people tend to recognize you that okay, this person can be given a little more responsibility, he is capable of doing this and all, right? So that's how the transition starts slowly. And once you get a habit or the process kind of how you can merge that extra bit of responsibility to your current role, that will become a habit itself you can run. And slowly when you deliver things, people start recognizing you and giving you more responsibilities on the next level part. So that's where when I was running my first design project, I was learning these processes. In my second design project, I started shadowing my project manager. In my third project, I started driving project management plus design also. So that's the transition you have to take. And slowly when you feel that okay, your cup is full, now you have to move to the next level. That's when you look for pure opportunities in project management, where you can use your technical skills plus your negotiation and all those uh, triads what a project management need. So that's how the transition journey will be. And many of the people, many of the individuals doesn't take that extra bit of courage and extra bit of step in their role. So that is where they become stuck, and progression becomes also stagnant over there.
Right. So good point shared here, because I think it clearly makes sense. Like if you have to take something, right, if you have to get into a new role, especially transitioning, it's always good to take that extra role, right? Play that role for some time, shadow somebody, learn, and then implement. And then slowly you transition into a place where you can go ahead and then start doing it fully. So
the,
good.
the
Now,
one
yeah.
one point I wanted to add is the biggest advantage by doing this is like you get immense support from others also. So
Hmm.
the moment you start doing your projects, people tend to support you also well, so that they give you their techniques, they give their tips also. Like you can follow this, you can follow that way, this way might be the best approach and all. So slowly you build that confidence with your surroundings itself. So slowly you get that positive vibe itself, that okay, this is possible if I get this kind of support itself on the job. So you don't have to take a risk that you join as a project manager in a firm, and then you start showcasing that you do not know some of the process. Rather, if you get equipped with the current designation, current role, start taking slow new skills, acquiring new skills, and demonstrating that to the company itself, they will nurture you in that way. So that's my learning how the transition can happen.
Good. I think that those are some good pointers there. And now, when you have to transition from one role to other, especially when you are in a technical role like a mechanical engineering role, design, and all of it, um, how important is it to have that clarity of whether you want to get into project management or whether you want to continue with your technical roles? How important do you think is that clarity, and how did you get clarity in your case?
So it is basically like you have to be very clear with what strengths you have. So I know I was I am like a person. I like to mingle with people. I like to socially interact with people, network with people, understand their problems and try to give solutions, and always try to listen and try to give some kind of solutions, advice, and all those things. So that's when I realized, when I was looking upon to my project managers who were handling the projects, I saw those kind of traits, the same traits what I possess within me, and also some of the strengths that I keep. And so then I started exploring, yeah, how the transition can be. And that's the way you have to identify your strength, and also see at a person who drives it, at a position at what level you have to reach. And if that strength and your vision matches together, then you have to just go for it. That's it.
Yeah. I think it completely makes sense here. You spoke about personality type. First of all, you are a person who loves to interact with people. Understanding your personality type, your strengths, and also seeing the position, the people who are already at that position, and trying to see if that is the role you want to play and that is where you want to be. I think those are some good points which can help people to take those decisions in terms of transitioning. Now, how easy was the transition? Because you are at a place where you are like doing really good in your technical job. Right now you are entering into a new territory, project management, which is going to be an unknown territory for you. How difficult was this decision for you, and what are the things that actually you did that maybe can help people also to take those difficult decisions in their life?
So one thing I see, when you get a PMP certified, or when you say that you are a qualified project professional, you tend to look at changing your strength itself. Like you modify your resume to fit the kind of job responsibility that you see in LinkedIn or any other job platforms, right? So one thing I majorly focused is, I was very patient. I was patient, and I knew that my project management role, which I can take, is something that requires a technical know-how also. A project manager who needs a technical know-how of how a product can be developed or designed, so that his skills can be utilized to make sure that, okay, when a function, for example a supply chain or a procurement or any other function, says that this takes so much of time, we could challenge them by stating that why. Because I was already there in that position. When I was already there in that technical position, I know what amount of time it will take. So I was focused in building my career path or my job responsibilities in such a way that people who want a technical knowledge plus a project management skill, that kind of positions only I was focused on. I never thought that, okay, since I am PMP certified, I have did this 3 years back or 5 years back, I'm still not able to get into project manager role. So you have to be patient in that form, because it's not that the moment you do a certification you end up in a project manager role. That's not the way how things work in organizations. Because organizations will look for people who have multi skills. Now obviously, yes, people look for that. And also and especially the skill should match to the team also, right? The person who hire you. So that kind of stigma doesn't work, means then the role itself, you take it up, you will have to quit it in another 6 months. So my transition journey was challenging. I had to wait for almost 3 years after getting my certification in project management. But I was making sure that, okay, I'm still not I have not still built that experience to move to that ladder. Maybe that might be the reason. And I was still focusing on learning more about project management, learning more about what are the processes, how to deal with, and also doing on the job training. Because when I'm given a project to manage it, uh, and meet customer expectation, you slowly develop and learn many things that you can again put it into your resume or showcase that to your next organization or to the position that you're applying for. So that is where many people lose their hope. So it's same as once you get graduated, it is not mandatory that you are going to end up with TCS or any other big companies, right? You will have to wait, you will have to be patient, you have to attempt many other exams, get qualified, and then only you reach that position, right? But each of these interviews or each of the opportunities that you get, you have to take the feedbacks from that and work on that for your next interviews or maybe the next role that you're applying for. That's how it has been. It has been challenging. It is not an easy cakewalk for me also. My my wait for was for 3 years to identify that particular position itself as a program manager and move that they need a technical know-how also for that role.
Good. Now, when you have waited for those 3 years, and also the uh, work and the efforts that you put in your current job that you are doing, and also in the previous jobs, what are your learnings in terms of what do you think are the important skills that somebody needs to acquire to get into project management?
So first thing, you have to be a good learner and you have to be a good listener also, because in project management, there are many skills that is really needed. And obviously when you Google it out, they'll be coming like 10 traits, 10 skills, 15 skills that a project manager need. But each of them are according to each of their experiences, right? So for me, it was always negotiating things and getting the team together to work for you. And building that rapport with the team is not that easy thing. So you are given a project and you have to start from beginning, like you have the forming, norming, storming kind of steps that you learn in PMP, right? So each of those steps are good to see in your books and good to memorize that and attempt for your exam. But in real world, how you manage is the question mark. So one skill I will always recommend is always keep researching for all the challenges that you face when you are transitioning to a particular role, because you have to think on why, what is going wrong. And always you will be bombarded with a lot of work itself. So uh, in parallel to your work pressure, you have to manage this and learn many skills, and always try interacting with your one level above people, so that you get their experiences shared and you can fast track your learning. So when you interact only with your peers, you are traveling in the same pace. But when you start interacting with your superiors and go one level up and ask for their experiences, you are speed tracking your journey as well, right? So that is one of the key skill. The learning. When I say learning, it should be all aspects. You should not feel dejected when you are facing a failure, but learning is always mandatory.
Okay. And what are the other key skills, like if you have to talk about certain soft skills like communication or
Yes.
stakeholder management? What are the things that you think are important that learning would help them in terms of getting into this
Correct.
role or
So
performing the role better?
yeah, all the skills what we talk, like negotiation, communication, stakeholder management, everything is common to every functions. It is not that very specific to project manager should have only this skill. No, it is like even if you are a design engineer, you have to have these kind of skills to get your work done, right? So it is not mandatory that only the project manager should possess. So most of those skills are very common even in whichever role you are. But in terms of project manager, you have to have a particular energy to take up and coordinate things multiply. You have to coordinate things, so you have to keep a track of things, you have to coordinate with many functions, you have to make sure that know where the project is getting stuck, and you have to make sure that the team is also approaching you for their issues and for recommendation and solution. Because I've seen many other project managers are there. They're very strict with their timelines and they want to just meet the timelines. You do whatever it is, you meet the timelines, you escalate things and make that things possible. So not only that, so this kind of way. So it's like a amalgam of things of being a perfect leader. So those kind of skills you will be learning when you take up the project manager role. So nothing specific to highlight, like communication you should be perfect. Yes, communication you should be perfect, because when you say something and the other person doesn't understand, you lose time over there, right?
Right.
So it's common in all the functions and whatever role you take. But the major part is coordinating with all these functional team members. Now the biggest challenge is virtual setup, and now you have to coordinate with team members from all around the world in different timings. So so you will have to even schedule your projects in such a way that, okay, the project starts with China timing, you have to schedule it in the morning. The
Right.
US projects, you will have to schedule it in the evening, so that way. So coordination, basically how you learn coordinating things. And one important tip which I can give how you can learn that is, basically look up towards your women in house, basically your mothers, and how they coordinate things. They are perfect examples for a project manager. I've always looked up my mother as a biggest great project manager, because she manages it very well. She makes sure that everything is ready, everything is on time for your children, for your husband. So that ways you see live examples in and around your family itself. So that these
Right.
are some of the tips which we can give, like not only apart from the books. So
Yeah, yeah.
yeah.
Good, and I think this is a very good analogy that you gave how women can manage multiple things, multiple stakeholders, husband, right, their kids, right, and their own family members, and all of that, and still able to manage and then deliver it on time every time, right? So
Yes.
those are some of the important skills that we can learn. Now, one of the things with project management, I was recently reading this survey where it mentioned about 32% of projects are the projects which are successful, and most of the other projects go into the failures. So
Yeah.
what, according to you, do you think can make a project successful? Like, what are the important criteria for a project success, or what can make it successful?
So there is not too many criteria. According to me, there is only one criteria, that is teamwork. So
Mhm.
to make your project successful, your team has to be with you. It's not a one man show, as you see in soccer or a football. One Cristiano Ronaldo or Messi cannot make the entire match win. Yes, he is capable, but the team members also should be along with him, right? So in the same way, when the statistics shows that 32 percentage projects are successful, that clearly shows that they had a very good project teamwork behind it. Because if everybody is aligned to the goals and objectives that you set in the scope document, then there is no chance of failing, unless and otherwise there is a pandemic issue or a supply chain issue and all. So that those are external factors which we cannot, which those are, according to our terminology, unidentified risks, right?
Right.
So those fall under those things. So I feel a proper teamwork and carrying the entire team together to meet that objective is the success criteria for a project.
And that's one part of it, like where you're talking about teams. The other part of it is your customer, right, or your sponsor. Now, how important is the role of project manager when we are talking to the sponsor? Because in customer services, we hear customer is king,
Yeah.
but does it hold the same in project management? And if you follow this process, if you follow this philosophy, will that help your projects to become successful?
Yes, in project management also we are delivering something to a customer. It's if you
Hmm.
see what if we take the definition of a project itself, we are trying to deliver a product or a service in a particular endeavor of time to a customer only, right? It can be an end user, it can be anyone. So when you say state about sponsor, sponsor has a role to make sure that the project is run with a particular vision, or how it helps with the business strategy, right? So sponsors focus will be to get that thing done, so the business strategy is also working, right? Plus the customer is also happy, so that he comes back as a client, because any recurring customer can be classified as a client. So that's how
Right.
we build a global client, or a global portfolio of clients in organization, right? So yeah, the importance of sponsor as a stakeholder is there. But sponsor is always happy if you deliver according to customer requirements on time, and if you get the revenue to the company, sponsor is also very much happy.
Right. And when it comes to customers, right, as a project manager, what are the traits or what are the important things that you need to have? Because if you look at the customers, many customers would come with an expectation where they are not clear of their own outcomes, right? And if you start off with that, then your team is not happy and you don't have the clear guidelines or the expectations. So, do you think courage is an important trait as a project manager to handle the customers or to talk and then um, actually get everything without making the customer feel offended there?
It's I won't state having courage. The thing is, actually any customer is also having a deliverable to some other customers.
Hmm.
If you take for example, if I am delivering a project to my customer is answerable to his customer. So,
Hmm.
and and there will be an end user to it, right? So that's how a service or a product runs, correct? So when we say taking courage to speak to a customer, so it is like we are making sure, as you said, this is one of the important criteria. When you kick off a project, everything will not be clear, and there is always a chance of scope creep. I mean, according to normal terms, change. Every time the scope can change, right? And that is where a real role of a project manager also comes in, because how you handle a change. Because any functional team cannot handle a change, because each functions will be having an idea about change for their function and their deliverables alone. That is where a real role of the project manager pitches him, how he takes the change, how he analyzes the change, he gives a recommendation of what has to be done, and basically the integration management part what we learn in project management. And when you say about change, this is inevitable part also. The change is inevitable, because when a customer gives the first requirement, he might be having something. Later he comes to know that due to some global norms, or maybe his customer requirements, he will have to make a small change into the requirement what they have given. So that's where even PMI or PMP also realized that typical waterfall approach in project management is not going to help us when we are moving forward in a fast changing environment. So that's where even PMP also brought in agile. Now for the last 3 or 4 years, now agile is very prominent in PMP, in project management field. So that's because the biggest advantage of agile is, apart from the normal process that you follow, you're making sure that you are going back to your customer and giving him something, and making a validation that okay, we can move to the next step, right? So this is where now the agile process has evolved, and people have started recognizing that implementing agile helps in tackling most of the things with the customer change, or normally the change itself in the project.
Right. Yeah, agreed. Like the agile methodologies are really helping in terms of because you are giving in pieces at least some deliverables to the customers
Yes,
here,
yes, yes,
right? Now, when we are talking again about the customers here, we know there are scope creeps that happen, there are changes that happen, right? And how difficult it is to implement the change, or what is the process that people should follow in terms of implementing change? Because there are teams, technical teams, for them again and again, you going back and then talking about a big change,
yes,
right? It's not going to be
yes,
easy.
yes. Yeah, change implementation is the toughest job, because when a change comes, might be a small change in when you see it. But in normal cases, I've ran the both sides of it. Okay, I've taken the change as it has come and revised the document and went ahead. But later we came to know we had to spend more time on that change. Okay, so now when we take change itself, my concept, even when I was learning project management also, my concept was anything that comes as a change is a that this is where my mentor taught me, any change you should consider as a $1 million change. Okay,
Mhm.
so when you have that perspective that any change is a $1 million change, then you will prepare your deliverables and you start preparing accordingly, right? When a change is going to cost you $1 million, so then the approach itself will be different. That then you start looking into risks, you start looking into what are the impacts of those risks. Then you start identifying what are the activities you have to do, then give recommendations. You have to identify the best feasible options from that change and give a recommendation to your management. Yes, we can go ahead with implementing this change with so much of changes onto the budget, cost, or schedule. So all these three things will have a change from the baseline what you have decided earlier. So that is a perspective always we have to keep when any changes come, because it when for us in technical team, for it will be mostly the drawing change. Okay, change this dimension from so x number to x plus 2 value. But when we deeply look into the change, analyze on that change, we come to know that more effort has to be done. Maybe we will have to change some tooling, maybe we will have to talk to our suppliers and all those things. So implementing change is not easy. And people, many or almost 50 to 60% people see that initially when the change comes, it might be a small change. So that's the perspective everybody has.
Right. And how important now change management is one of the process in project management itself. Like there is a
Yes.
change manager, of course, who is helping you to implement that change. But how important is it for a project manager to understand all these processes and start implementing? Like apart from change management, what are the other things that the project manager needs to understand in terms of the processes?
So the project manager should always have a keen eye towards the budget, whatever he has agreed as a baseline in the start of the project, the schedule, what you have committed to the customer, and then to the scope of the project, what you're going to deliver. Okay, in normal terms, the quality of the deliverables, what you're going to give to the customer, whether whatever they have asked, that is part of the package what you're delivering to them, right? So now a project manager, when takes or owns this responsibility, telling that okay, I will deliver you this at this time with this cost or this pricing to you, right? A product. Now, biggest responsibility what project managers takes is project manager is answerable to customer, he is answerable to the management, he is answerable to the project team also, right?
Mhm.
And that's where understanding these kind of things is very vital. And that is the reason why organizations look for a certified candidate when they take in, because if a candidate knows the complete process of how you drive a project, uh, then it is easy for that particular person to be in that environment, drive things, rather than training him from grassroots level. So that is the advantage which companies look for also when they look for certified project managers in their organization.
Right. And now you are talking about project manager is preparing budget and all of it. We know that project manager is responsible for creating the budget of the project in terms of and also looking at how much what is the output that we are generating, how much cost are we saving, how much are we putting in the resources, right? So all of this. So this is more of the financial part, right? And you come from mechanical background. So, if somebody has to become a project manager, how important is it to understand the financial or the accounting part of it?
So one good thing when what I was doing when I was learning about these things itself, I was I was trying to understand the business aspect of things. Like, why are you doing that task? Even when I was in my technical role, how is that contributing to the final outcome of a company, right? So when I was part of a design engineer, we are said by our project manager that okay, we are going to develop such a kind of product which is of going to be used in such kind of application, which is going to give a value to the customer, right? Now we know what is that, but we do not know what are the aspects going around, what would be the budget for the product. We don't care about that. We go and tell to our director and our project manager, I need budget for testing, I need this thing. So during the planning phase, we might have told many things that we need this, but after when coming to a validation phase or a testing phase, we realize that we need additional tests. Then we say that we needed this additional. Then the project manager starts challenging, why didn't you tell this initially? We didn't plan for this in our budget and all those things. So now when somebody coming from scratch to this, it's not that complicated thing, creating a budget and all. It's basic mathematics only, and you have to look into that angle, how you are going to generate profit or margins for your company with respect to that particular project. So then you will identify ways to calculate it. And basically this project management certification of any courses gives you that basic knowledge on how to calculate your ROI of the project, the NPV of the project, payback period, and all those things. It's not big thing compared to what you have learned in your engineering. You learn you learn more than 80 subjects and attend more than 80-85 exams. You, if you could do that, learning these things is not that big thing. It's only applying your common sense to how you look at the business, how you bring the business to the company. So that's it.
Right. While you were talking about budget and these things, I think you made a very important point here, understanding why we are doing whatever we are doing, right? So I think that's a gap many project managers have. They pick up the project, just start delivering the project, looking at, okay, this is the budget, this is what I'm supposed to do. But whatever you mentioned, I think is very important, because if you understand why are you doing certain project, right, how is it going to affect or impact or help your company or the customer, understanding the big picture will help, because not every time it is saving cost or making profits. The
Yes,
project ultimate outcome would be different with certain directions in a company.
exactly.
So that is a good, very good point that you made here. Now, when you are talking about more of like project management and you starting your project, whenever there is a project that's come to you, how important is project planning, and how much time do you think you require to spend on project planning when you start off with the project?
Theoretically we need to spend a lot of time, and planning is one very important thing with whatever inputs or scope you have in your hand. Okay, but the nature of how now organization run is like we need to take up more and more projects, more and more responsibility to run the show, to be in the business itself. So we have to be innovative in doing things, and that is something that is very common now. Everybody should follow. You have to be innovative and very productive in how you can automate your process also. So planning is one phase, uh, very important phase, and that is where your experience also matter. Okay, so now for example, any so a project can be anything. Yeah, like once you have done something on a maybe a product like a computer, the next project can be something like a watch or something. So the product might change. Now you cannot bring your expertise of technical details over there, but you can bring the technical team's expertise and capturing those risks and listing down all those risks and identifying what all can happen because of those risks. Taking down those actions also into your project plan will help you maximize maximize to maximum way. It will help you to get a good plan at the initial stage itself. And then as you know, like as we run also, there might be changes when you do some concepts. There can be changes to the plan. There can be delays to the plan, but that first plan what you prepare with your team, that will be very fresh, with fresh ideas, fresh risks, fresh mitigations, and all those things. So that is always important. And whenever you start a new project, everybody has that energy. Yes, we
Yes.
are going to do that, something great we are going to do. So you have to capture that energy and bring everything into your plan. Okay, later when the project goes on, it start to become little bit repetitive, but still then your job starts to influence and keep that motivation running also, right? You have to keep motivating the team also to run that plan. So that initial planning is very important. Theory also speaks that way, and experience also speaks that way.
Right. And as a good project manager, right, what do you think are important traits that you would see in a project team? Right. When you are hiring team members for your project, like when you are starting your project, you're always looking at team members, right? Maybe internal, maybe external members you are hiring, or you are bringing people from different projects, right? What are the important traits? Is it always like the technical skills, like mechanical, he is good at designing, or is it certain things or certain aspects that you look at so that you can make your project successful?
So this question cannot be answered very directly, because now most of the organization run metrics organization, where people report to administrative managers, functional managers, project managers, And the biggest challenge as a project manager, you don't have the liberty to choose the best resource for your project, because it is always an allocation that is done by a functional manager for you, or an HR for you. So you can give your suggestion, like, this is a project that needs so and so technical skills, and with reference to that, you, if the best person whom you recommend is available, you get it, then that's your win. But otherwise, you have to get accustomed to the resource what you get and drive the project that. So it's not, project manager doesn't have that authority. Not every organization has that authority, that whatever project managers ask for can be given. It is based on the availability of resources whom can be deputed to, right? So some of the projects, when it becomes a challenging project and you don't have that particular resource who is the key technical person, or a SMI, I would say, SME, subject
Expert.
matter
Mm.
expert. So that time, some of the time, we will have to take these projects to a back burner and keep it on hold, so that we have that availability and move forward. So that's how the prioritization of the project work and all those things. So resources part, project manager doesn't have that full control to get resource what he needs.
Mhm. Right. And when you have got the resources onboarded, and definitely there would be every team who would have certain weak players or people who are like always dropping the ball and all. As a project manager, what is the best approach that you think works for the project? Like, you still be good with those people, and then you still keep those people in the team, and you keep pushing them so that the project ends, or you look at, okay, fine, how do you replace those people, or how do you actually make those people realize, give them warning? What is the best approach as per you?
As per me, what I follow is, I do not go for replacement. Maximum case I don't go for that, because we might be in a certain stage of the project where we have reached maybe 50% or 60%, and at that point of time, replacing a resource is not easy, and the biggest challenge will be for the project manager itself if you replace. So
Mhm.
so even if something comes as a replacement, or a resource who drops his paper and goes out of the organization, also that's the biggest challenge for the project. So maximum time, what approach I take care is, try to give feedbacks, and make that belief that we have to deliver this project at whatever possible way it is, right? And then, the escalation methods are there always, but it is always good to speak one to one, so that you exchange things and you understand what are the weak areas where he or she needs guidance also. So if it is anything technical, I am already coming from a technical background, then I can give my inputs. If I'm not able to give my inputs, I connect with that person's manager to help him out. So that's the way I basically drive things.
Right. So I think that's a good point where you are actually giving that timely feedback, and also trying to see what kind of help that person needs, the project team member, and then guide them. Right. Now, if there are challenges when a team member has dropped due to certain reason, or resigned from an organization, how important do you think is it to be transparent with the client and keep the communication open, and then communicate to him time to time?
Yeah, it is very important to communicate to clients. Some clients are very particular on the project team whom they work with, and some clients, they are liberal with terms, like, for example, if you're running 2 or 3 projects with the same client, then he is comfortable with the project manager itself. So whatever project manager says, he should be comfortable with. But otherwise, when they are running a very important project where the team is very important for them, especially from the technical side or from the supply chain side, then it is important for to keep them updated, because they also tend to make give their feedbacks at the end, right? So upfront updation is very helpful, because rather than when you fail and go and say that, we didn't have this kind of resource to execute that task for you. So anything you give an upfront notice will be very helpful, so that they can also give their suggestions. So I have seen, in one project where we had our technical person moving out, and we wanted support from the client side. So they allocated their technical person to execute from where we stopped the project. So it is how you negotiate and how you explain things. So basically, the when you asked about trait of a project manager also, explanation of things, making them understand making the other percentage sitting in front of you understand why we are doing this is very important, and how it is going to affect your end result. When you showcase that itself, half of the things are clear.
Right. Yeah, I completely agree here because the relationship that you build based on the communication that you are having with the customer and also the transparency is very important. Now, one is the customer, right? Very important for you. And then you communicate to him whatever is happening in the project or if resources are quitting or whatever. What about the other stakeholders? How important do you think it is to communicate and keep all the stakeholders updated? Or do you think it's not required to keep all the stakeholders updated of any update or change or any challenge that goes on the project?
No, it is very important to keep everybody updated, because each of them consider. See, when everybody comes to the project, they take it as their own project, right? And when we miss to update some areas, when we miss to communicate few areas, and they come to know that we were not updated with that, that itself causes them to lose their morale, or give that 100% dedication to the project afterwards. Then to bring them up to that energy level where they were is another challenge for you. And when you are handling a big project, communication, you need to follow some process on the communication. You need to have a communication plan itself, and a RACI matrix, responsibility, accountability. So those information kind of metrics itself, it is very important when you are handling a big project, according to your what is it, your time limits, how you handle. But it is important to keep everybody informed. And at some point of time, maybe you will have a to list of maybe 10-15 members in one email itself, to keep them informed itself, right? So because at certain point of time, when there is a decision to be made, it becomes another challenging task to bring them up to speed to what happened in your project,
Right.
right? So basically the top management people will not be in our project list, first of all. So they will be updated only when there is a change, and when there is a critical thing that is has to be approved from the top management, right? So that point of time, when you're keeping them upfront informed, that gives you an edge to get things approved easily, right? So I always make sure that when I'm going to an approval, or going for a change to the top management level, I keep them priorly informed that this and this has happened with the project, forward them some of these dashboards, what has happened so far, what we are discussing about, and then give them the recommendation so they can easily take a call on. Because it is not easy for a top management person to all of a sudden pitch into a project and take a call on that critical budget or timing or anything like that, right? So
Right. And what is the best practice in terms of communication? How often do you think you need to communicate to the stakeholders through email or whatever channel? Is it on a weekly basis, on a bi-weekly, monthly?
yes, so having a cadence for your project is very important. You can have it for your project, small project team who are executing the project. You can have it daily or weekly cadence. You can have plus monthly one cadence for the management team. You can have if the management is very open to even attend, even if they are free. I mean, most of the times they are not free to attend all the meetings, right? But always keeping them in optional for the meetings will be good when you are sending out the minutes. So
Hmm.
whenever they're free, they can just look into the minutes. Okay, what is happening here? They can have a feel to it. It's not mandatory that they should attend, but keeping them optional. And later, when you're sending a minutes of the meeting, they are well informed. Okay, and at least you can bring them up to speed by stating that so and so minutes, which I have sent earlier. So we had this issue, and bring them up to speed. So cadences, having regular cadences with the team and the management is also important. So that's the plan. It has to be the communication.
Yeah, so that you are also keeping them in that loop all the time, and they feel that they are part of that project. Yes.
Yes,
So
yes.
one of the challenge that I've seen with project managers is now there is nobody reporting to you, right? So there are project team members who are reporting to different managers, right? There is nobody reporting to you, but still you need to get the work done. So what is the best approach you think when people are not really reporting to you, but you still get the work done from them?
Yeah, that's this is the biggest challenge we have. because nobody directly reports to you, and so that's how you take your team along with you. So when you're starting with a new project, you explain the scope. There needs some time for everybody to interact each other. And one of the basic things that I missed during the pandemic was that face-to-face interaction. Because when you kick off your project and everybody is in the same room, that is a different persona. So when you kick off your project with everybody in the same room discussing about the project scope or what we are going to do and all those things, having a coffee together and having a break together, and then continuing your discussion on that first kickoff project, right? That is going to set a benchmark in driving your team together. And that during the pandemic, this was the most challenging part, because you are speaking to only a photo in most of the times. So not everybody comes on video call. Not many times at home the bandwidth might be a problem. So most of the times you're speaking to a photo only, and you're requesting them to get your task done, right? So you have to identify ways how you can get into his good book as a project manager, how we can help him out also, on not only with project, with other aspects of his life as well. So become that friend when you are driving the project itself. So it cannot be always because of the virtual change. It cannot be now you have to be that strict project manager that you start writing only, keeping your boss in CC, you write email to the person who has to do the job. So that most of the time it works, but there is a limit for everything, right? So
Right. So, hmm, yeah,
that
go
way
ahead.
taking your team together without any report is building that rapport between them is very crucial.
Right. So basically, it's all about building that rapport and relationship with people so that you
Yes.
can get the work done. Right. Now, all this is fine when you talk about these stages, different stages. You mentioned about storming, norming, forming, and all of this. Right. Now you have got the project. Right. You have got the work done. Now coming to the conclusion stage, one of the challenge that we see is slowly people start dipping down in their motivation levels. Right. So, how important do you think is to document the best practices or the lessons learned from the project? And what is the stage when you need to get it started? Like, is it after completing the project, or is it when your project is coming to an end? What do you think?
So at each stage of so that depends on the type of project. When it is a chunky or a big project, always capturing the lessons learned is very important. And most of the time what I make use of is the minutes of the meeting, what we go towards. Okay. Because one aspect, when you're documenting it, if you are sitting and documenting it alone, the minutes of meeting helps you a lot. And once you prepare a skeleton of whatever you have documented, then you call in the team, review with the team on the points that you documented with your experience with running with different functional teams in executing the project, and then take down their points in lessons learned. Now the big good thing of capturing the lessons learned is that when you are going to get a similar project, so you don't have to do things from scratch. So you have already documented the risk that you have faced, or the lessons, whatever lessons you have learned from it is the risks that you have already mitigated. Now you know what are the process to do that. So taking that to the time plan is very easy next time, right? So very crucial thing, lessons learned, a documenting thing with the team. And it also gives a good idea to the management also once you share that lessons learned document at the end of the project, because that gives the management also, when they get a product similar to that, when they start their initial commercial discussions with the client itself, they remember that thing. Okay, when you state this kind of requirement, we are going to have this and this challenges, it would take this and this time. Otherwise, normally you get a project from a product manager or from your customer stating that we need this change to get implemented in 2 months time, in 3 months time. So the commercial team also will have an idea. Okay, when a similar project comes, because of the lessons learned document, this I have experienced also. Some of them will stand by our side, like the project team side. So mostly, if you see the sales team will stand on the customer side, because that has to be there, right? And be behind the project manager to get the things done. So that
Right.
way, that
Good,
way
good.
this
I think,
document helps.
yeah. So definitely, like having those lessons learned and then the best practices captured can help in future projects to get the work done faster and all. So I think we covered a good bit of it, starting from initiating a project to conclusion of the project. So
Closing
we
the
have gone over time now. We have spent over an hour already now discussing about projects, and I think it was a great experience talking to you and understanding the practical aspects because you have been there, you have done it. So really nice having this interaction. So if you have to conclude this particular conversation of us today, right, what is that message you want to give? Because I know you are right now targeting more of the mechanical engineers because you come from that field and want to help them become the better project managers, grow in their career and life. So what is that tip you want to share with these people, or the last bit for this particular conversation today?
So learning project management, for me, it is like a hub and spoke model, where a project manager in the center has accessibility to all the functions, right? So when you are in a particular function itself, if you move towards the hub path, that is the project management, you have wider visibility to different aspects of how a product or a service is being done. So my focus is for those mechanical engineers to build up their career in project management, because the project management has it all. You can be a good leader out of it. So if you start implementing these processes, the techniques that you use for project management, so overall you can be a better leader itself when you're moving up in the ladder also. So even if you want to continue in your technical path also, you need to become a manager of engineering or manager of R&D. Then you have to become a senior manager where you have to handle people. It is not that you can be always sitting with calculations and analysis, right? So you have to handle people. So learning or grasping the skills of a project management will help you in some or the other way to become a good leader and become a lead or take a leadership role in that. And project management has this wide accessibility. So that's what I was referring to, that hub and spoke model, where where you can switch easily, you can understand people, you can network with other people. So this kind of opportunity is not there in any other position, is what I have identified.
Right. Great. So thank you, Vimal, for sharing all your knowledge and experiences so that it can help others. And I think we definitely need to thank all the audiences, especially the people who have been live and interacting a lot here. Mahesh,
Oh,
Santosh,
thank you all.
Deepak, Cyril, right? These people have been engaging in this entire conversation. And of course, there will be people who will be watching us later as well on this recording. So thank you for sharing your knowledge and being here. And this was a very fruitful conversation.
Thank. I should also thank you for inviting me to your show, and that's the 65th episode. Congratulations for that. And yeah, I also wish you more and more shows, and achieve maybe 1,000 shows in future. More than that also, but quickly with speed. And it's great thing that you're doing also, that you're bringing people from different domains, so and focusing on the career part, where people get really stuck on pursuing aspects. Because at that point of time, in my time, when after my engineering, I never knew, or before engineering, I never knew that I should take engineering itself. So
Right.
these kind of talk shows really help people to identify their strength and go towards their career and passion. So that is very important when you're looking for a long run, right? So that way, thank you, Fatah, for inviting me for this session, and my gratitude for that. Okay.
Great. Thank you, Vimal. Thank you once again. And thanks everybody for being here and watching us live, and for
Thanks,
all those
audience.
people who are going to
Thanks,
watch. Yeah.
thanks,
Thank
audience,
you.
for
Thank you.
listening to
And
our show.
right. Yeah. Thank you and have a great night. Bye.
Bye bye. Good night.